Happy Friday, guys. Welcome back to Wager Talk TV. So much content already to be viewed on this channel today, including the new show, Wager Talk Today, with Teddy and the Prez. Matt and I will have a show at 4 p.m. Eastern with Andy Lang going over prop bets for this weekend. As for now, it's baseball action. We got a packed card, a few double headers. We'll go around the horn. Start with you, mid-major Matt Josephs. What's going on with you? How are things? And what can we grab from you over at the website?
Well, I think I'm done with the regular season for baseball. Last night, I had the team total under for the Astros. I had the first 5 under for the Astros, thinking Lance Lynn would show up. Of course, he did not. And then for the second time in a row, I feel like Corbin Burns was coasting a little bit, and then he gets hurt, so I lost on the strikeout prop there. Did hit the Thursday Night Football prop, but anything I do, I'm just going to post it on Twitter because the last week of the regular season is just such a crapshoot when it comes to Major League Baseball.
Dave,
I think that's a really good I think that's a great idea, Matt. I think I'm going to do the same thing. I will not sell any baseball picks this weekend. If I have any, I'm going to post them as free plays on Wager Talk, and I'll post them on Twitter as well. I'm not playing anything today. I'm a little irritated about last night, not about the baseball result. I had a first 5 in the Nationals, and Corbin gave up a 2-run homer in the 5th, and I lost 2-1. But, that's going to happen, and baseball's been pretty good the last week or so. But I'm just so pissed off at myself for not playing UAB. I had him circled. And it's like, you got the first-time starter on the road, and I don't know. I just chickened out, and then sometimes I reproach myself for being a little too conservative, and that's just such an easy winner last night. So you feel worse about those sometimes than actually giving out a game that loses. It's like a game's going to win, and you don't play it, and it cost myself money because obviously I didn't bet it. So, but I do have 4 college football games up for the weekend. And one of them is a free play, and that's at wagertalk.com right now. It's a big favorite, but I don't think the line is big enough. So hopefully that'll get there. And you can let everybody know about the all-access packages that are available right now, Andrew, because it's a great opportunity for our players to get everything that every handicapper's got up at terrific prices.
Yeah, definitely. We'll segue right into that before we get to Brian. Put it right here on the screen. 60 days, all action from any of your favorite handicappers, both websites, wagertalk.com or sportsmemo.com. $378. Guys, it's $349 originally for 30 days. Get 60 days for $378. This offer expires at midnight on Sunday. Once again, Sunday at midnight. So I guess technically it'd be Monday. This offer expires, so grab that. Grab it right now, and you can get anybody from you, Wager Talk or Sports Memo, for football, for basketball. It's college and NFL, NHL action, MLB, whatever it may be. 60 days of all action. And Dave, you mentioned the word irritated. You mentioned the word a little bit pissed off a little bit. Well, how about a guy that had the over in the Jacksonville-Miami game and someone that had the Red Sox in one night? That's a night to have. If it wasn't for having my girlfriend to hang out with last night, I probably would have been pretty angry for most of the night. So it's nice to have some personal life to move to and be able to enjoy the night other ways. But holy, I understand the number that closed 49 for that total. I had 47.5. We got the field goal from Miami. Jacksonville, drives the field. They get an outstanding play. Minshew is best toss of the night. They're on the 20-yard line. I thought to myself, boom, we need 2 short passes. They're getting into the end zone. Not just my 47.5 is going to cash. The 49 is going to cash for everybody, and throws that interception, and that's all she wrote. So loser for me last night. I had one baseball winner on an under with the Cards and Brew. Other than that, a losing night for me last night. I'm up with 2 UFC plays, though. UFC's been hot for me. For tomorrow night, it's a 2-pack, and I do have a play on the main event, which is not something I usually do because it's very easy for a lot of people, especially in this business, to say, hey, look, I have the winner in the main event. It's the most attractive pick to sell or to advertise, but probably the first time in a while I've had a pick on the main event, but I do for tomorrow. You can grab that. Kind of a 2-for-1 deal, 2 plays for $29 at wagertalk.com. So that's kind of what I have for action. Brian, happy Friday to you.
Thank you. Just to touch on one thing you just talked about with the total in the NFL game. If you take the total yardage in the game and divide by 15, that'll tell you what the total point should have been. and that would have been 40.8. So you may have felt you had a good shot at the over, but they didn't move the ball well enough to get up to that high. So just something I always keep track of this kind of thing. So when you compare the yardage compared to the points, you can see how many they should score. For myself, I like these other guys. I mean, it's been a rough week in baseball, just hard to find value. I've passed the last 3 days. I do have a play today, and I'm not going to talk about it on the show tonight, but I've got a nice complimentary play up on the site over at Wager Talk, and I've got 4 NFL plays right now, including the Sunday night game and a 5% play. I'm going to spend the day working on college football. As I said before, I don't want to be like Dave and have 3 or 4 games already canceled, and you're putting in at least 6 hours of work on those games. So I would rather wait to see if we're playing or not. There's a couple games I'm interested in, but there's also been talk that they may be.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to wait a few hours here, and I'm going to put them – I'm not going to get the best line. I'm sorry, guys, but I'd hate to see somebody buy something and get all set to play the game, and then all of a sudden they're not playing.
Certainly respectable, and I think that Dave has touched on that a few times. I think I heard you talk about that, Dave, on Prez's show too.
I mean,
Marco, right?
And the thing of it is, I mean, I'm still an information junkie, and there's a game I like this week, but it's on one of the smaller schools. I can't get information as to who's playing, so I can't play the game. That's life in 2020, I guess.
Definitely. Guys, before we get any jokes in this chat room about talking about doubleheaders, talking about different things or that sometimes causes a little bit of stirring, we're going to just blast through every single game on this odds board right now. If it's a doubleheader or not, we'll get some thoughts. If somebody does not have a thought, guys, feel free to say, Andrew, pass. We'll get right through this card, have a great Friday show, and move right into the weekend. Matt, we'll start with you. The Cardinals and the Brewers, game 1, 5:15 first pitch.
I mean, it's a rather important doubleheader for the Brewers. I mean, it's big for the Cardinals too. But you say 5.5 in a 7-inning game. That's a really low total here. I mean, you're asking a lot for. We expect Flaherty should pitch well, but how about Suter? I mean, it's a doubleheader, so I'm not playing this game, but it's one to watch, especially if you have a team in the wild card hunt.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention, obviously Flaherty's going to get the action here. Suter's a funny guy. I mean, if you watch him pitch, it's like, how is this guy even in the majors? But he puts the ball where he wants to, for the most part. And when he's got command, he's a perfect example of a guy who throws 85 miles an hour and gets outs because he's got his command. But he's been pitching sporadically, and that would worry me.
Dave, do you mind answering this question here from Joe in our chat room here? Can you ask the panel and pros what cons of risking a flat unit as opposed to risking to win a unit? Do you have any take on that?
I do, my own thing is that if it's a minus 140 favorite, I'll lay 140 to win 100. And if it's a plus 140 dog, I'll risk 100 to win 140. I think that's the way most people tend to do it.
Yeah, that for myself. Matt, anything on that?
Nope. Dave covered it. I pretty much agree with Dave there.
Brian, your thoughts on this early game?
Yeah, Flaherty's not having the season we thought he would have, and that's because of his start against Milwaukee last time out. That was just 10 days ago. He goes 3 innings. He's up 9 earned runs. Game score of 11. So I know he's got this game circled going against a team who really beat him up last time out. That doesn't happen very often for Flaherty. Suter's one of those guys. He only goes 3 innings to start, but he's been very effective. And 34 strikeouts in 27 and 2/3 innings is pretty good for a guy who doesn't have a major fastball. So at this point, I don't know what the lineups are. So at this point, I'm passing on this game, but wouldn't surprise me to see a good outing here from Flaherty.
This is a really good Blues Cat 59. Can you punch that up? You need to find out if Roof is open for playing any total in Texas Stadium. The Roof was only open for 1 game. They wanted to experiment, but it's been closed, I believe, for all the others. But I don't know what they're going to do, and this will be something that is absolutely we should find out about and which should be factored into the handicapping. When the playoffs move there, the weather is going to be a little bit cooler. I suspect they could open the roof. And if that's the case, that will be advantageous to the offenses. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, our comment section's always bringing it, guys. You have any questions or any statements, just like we just did there, we'll more than certainly post that on the screen and try and get some questions or answers back at you. Matt, head to you here with rotation 901, 902. Porcello, Scherzer, Nationals, and the Mets. Totals 8.5, minus 140 favorites here for the Nets.
I mean, this is two teams that don't really have much to play for. One thing and it's Scherzer's final start of the season, he'll be hyped for that. But the last thing is, the last two starts, he's needed 119 pitches to get through 5 1/3 and 5 2/3 innings. I mean, I don't know if that's any sort of trend or anything, but that's a lot of pitches for a guy to get through 5+ innings. I mean, I trust Scherzer more than I do Porcello, and it's the final start of the season, but it's a game that I'm not going to be running to the window with.
See, and here's the thing. It's meaningless for the Nationals. The Mets technically are still alive, but it's only technical. I don't think Scherzer's going to go more than 80, 90 pitches here, 5 innings. That's it. Season's over. See ya. But I don't know that. So, I mean, it's just a guess. How do you handicap a game like that? Because you really don't want – I know they were okay last night, but the Nationals' bullpen is atrocious. And you don't want to be relying on them. And Porcello's, just not very good.
Well, and to me, Dave, just getting a quick second on the props here, what you just mentioned, to me, I saw somebody saying that they're not interested in ever backing or betting unders with K props, but the market knows that people like to bet overs with these versus unders. And I think like you said, to close out this season, there's going to be a lot more unders with these guys, especially a guy like Scherzer. In the lack of better words, meaningless.
It's meaningless from his standpoint. It's not like he's in the running for any awards or anything like that. So, I mean, it's just go out there and make your last start. I mean, he could go 3 innings and they could say, okay, that's it. There's just no way of knowing that.
I don't agree on that one because I just think Scherzer's the type of guy who doesn't care. Final start, he's got a long off season ahead. I think he goes as long as he wants. I mean, somebody else, yes, I agree, and we'll talk about other pitchers where I think they'll go short. But Scherzer, I think he goes as long as he wants.
Brian, I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I can see that. He's a guy that's a bull on the mound. He's one of those that doesn't want to come out. So it's up to him how long he wants to go. Porcello's actually pitched very well against Washington. Last 4 starts against him, a 60 average game score. He's faced him twice this year, 67 and 53. So you have to ask yourself, well, is Porcello know something that works against Washington, or is he just being pretty lucky when he's played them before? This is one of those games that's got too much variation for me. Washington's such a good hitting team that they could go out and they could pound Porcello here. As Dave pointed out, he's nothing but an average pitcher. But it's not. I'm going to get involved.
And the thing is, I think the Mets will probably have their regulars out there because technically they're still alive. Don't know what Washington's going to throw out there. I'm sure Soto's going to play because they're hoping he can win a batting title and maybe get some MVP votes. But you could have a lot of strange-looking guys in that lineup for Washington today.
If you look at WRC Plus on the season, there's been a lot of talk about the MVPs. Soto's got the best.
Oh, he's got a great season
in baseball. Problem is, because of his injuries, he's missed like 50 at bats. So, but you look at his numbers, he's the best. But he's not going to get the votes because he doesn't have the actual counting numbers that they're looking at, and it's a shame because he has been the best hitter in baseball for both leagues.
This next one kind of correlates into what we've been talking about to start the show and really all week long. Dave, I want to start with you with this game here with the Orioles and the Jays. Lopez and Walker. Jays have clinched.
Yep, and that eliminates them from the consideration because I have no idea what they'll play tonight. And Walker is going to be, I guess, one of their postseason starters in the wild card series, so he's probably just going to get a workout tonight. And as for the Orioles, well, they finally won one last night, beat the crap out of Martin Perez and the Red Sox, but they have not been good down the stretch. So that was a quick elimination.
I would agree with that. Tom Hart asked Mets team total over 3.5. Asked my thoughts, -125. I'm done looking at these team totals, Tom, right now, or at least I'm going to be really scaling back with them. That's just the truth. You've probably put more work into that than me with that play, but for me, that Nationals and Mets game, at least on my board, was a scratch. So I don't have a play on that. And like Dave says, I'd be guessing if I recommended a play for you on that you're asking me about. So no play for me on that one. Brian, any thoughts on this Orioles and Jays matchup?
Nope, pass.
Matt?
Lean Orioles, but pass.
That's how we do it to keep moving forwards. Phillies and the Rays. This one here, we're seeing it went from -170 opener to now -145, 150. What are you thinking here, Dave?
That's based on the Phillies needing the game, and Tampa's just waiting for the playoffs. Tampa's wrapped up the division, and they're going to be at home for the first round, and the game means absolutely nothing to them. And I still don't trust the Phillies. I don't. I mean, they've been, Bryce Harper finally broke out of his slump, so that might help them. But
Dave, I think you need to talk more smack about Bryce Harper. I think you woke the beast.
Bryce he's really streaky.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we've seen is just a tendency that he's got. That's pretty well established now. He can get extraordinarily hot for a handful of games at a time, and then he'll go 0 for 16. He'll get his walks because he's got a good batting eye and he's selective, but he does go into some fearful slumps at times.
Yeah, definitely not something I'm looking. Next game, if we can move forward. Do you guys have any plays, guys?
Whoa. Some of us want to talk about that game.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Well, it's just, the Phillies have a lot to play for still, obviously. And they, their lineup is the better lineup here. I was reading in the Tampa Bay Times about how that Kevin Cash wants to rest some of the infield for the Rays here. And so, because they only have 5 infielders, so that'll be something to watch. This is one of those games where you have to check out the lineup. I actually think under 5.5 strikeouts for Charlie Morton's worth a look, because I don't think he's going to go very deep, and the Phillies don't strike out a ton. Plus, they did call up Spencer Howard, and maybe Howard piggybacks Velasquez if he doesn't go deep. He was good last time out, so I would lean Phillies here, but much like Dave, I can't trust him. So maybe a first 5, which if you want to, if you have a death wish, you take the Phillies first 5 and hope the good Velasquez shows up. But there's some value there.
I like that a lot, actually, Matt. Is that so? That's one of the ones that you were kind of thinking, like, hey, he might not go too far. Obviously, the position that they're in right now, that's one of the ones you circled.
Morton under 5.5 strikeouts, because I don't think he's going to go very deep, and I'd consider the Phillies first 5, depending upon what kind of lineup the Rays field.
Brian, if we can get your closing thoughts on this one, just some last thoughts, and then we'll move into the Rockies taking on Dave's quality team, the Diamondbacks and Gallen.
The Phillies have scored 19 runs the last 2 days. I don't believe they'll be scoring anything like that in this series against this Tampa Bay pitching staff. Charlie Morton has faced Philadelphia one time since 2011. In 2017, he faced him. He had a 79-game score. Terrific. But these Phillies batters don't know him. They've seen him once in a decade. And Charlie Morton's one of those guys that he's a smart pitcher. His results are a lot better than his talent. He's crafty. And going against this Philadelphia lineup, who has a lot of free swingers, guys that can hit the home runs, but there's not a lot of guys on this line for Philadelphia that I could trust to get on base. If you can't get on base against Charlie Morton, he's only given up 4 home runs in 33 innings this year. Last year, 15 homers in 194. He doesn't give up many home runs. So the Phillies are going to have to play the old National League type of baseball to have success here. I know why money's coming on Philly because they need the game, but I'd prefer Tampa in this one.
Yeah, Dave, you talk about them being a streaky team or Bryce Harper being a streaky batter. I feel like Philadelphia has been the team where I've, handicapped it. I've talked about it on different networks or different, here on Wager Talk TV, and they'll go out and get shelled. And the next game that I don't bet them, they'll put up 11 runs. That's kind of my life this year with the Phillies. So I'm not touching them. And I can kind of see both points on each side in this one. So it leads to a pass for me as well. Rockies, Diamondbacks, Matt, we'll go to you.
I mean, I pass other than, Gallen going up against a Rockies team that I don't think is very good on the road and seemingly doesn't have much to play for. That seems like a recipe for Gallen to be a DFS play if you can get that.
Boy, I'll tell you what, they hurt the Giants late yesterday. That was a big win, a big loss, I should say, for San Francisco. They only splitting that series with the Rockies was not a good thing for the Giants, and they let it get away yesterday. I'll be interested to see how long Arizona goes with Gallen here. It's his final start. He's been really good, but he looks like he's maybe running out of gas a little bit. I wouldn't think they extend him very deep here, and they'll probably have a bunch of guys you've never heard of playing again this weekend. They've had some guys sitting out recently so they can take a look at some of their younger prospects, and I would suspect both teams might be doing that tonight.
Brian, in sports like hockey, especially near playoff time, we like to use the term, playing spoiler, teams playing spoiler. Are there teams that you might classify in that category for now? And does that apply for here? I mean, like Dave said, that loss yesterday, or I guess that victory for Colorado, but is there certain teams that you're looking at right now that are more interested in playing spoiler than others?
No, if there's a young team, I would think a team like Seattle would be one of those teams that they don't care who they're playing. They're having fun. They just want to go out there and have a good time. Miami Marlins, although the pressure may be on them to make the playoffs, still a young team. And I like to play young teams at the end of the season. I want nothing to do with either one of these teams, though. They're playing a doubleheader today, and I'm not interested in either one of them. Is both of them, especially. Well, I can't say especially the Rockies. Both of them have been a disappointment all season long. So I'll be passing on that doubleheader.
And you mentioned the Marlins. Good little segue. We're going to go right to you here, Brian. Alcantara versus Happ. Another one kind of looking here as far as motivation. Minus 185 I'm seeing here for the Yankees.
Yeah, J.A. Happ is like the afterthought in this Yankees rotation. But you go back his last 6 starts, he's got starts of 60, 77, 65, 58, 83 his last time out against Boston through a 4-hit shutout in 8 innings. He's a guy who, when he's focused, he's been very good. He's one of the reasons why the Yankees signed him, because he used to be an Yankee killer when he played for other teams. So he's one of those guys that has something to prove this year, especially coming off a season where he only had a 4.91 ERA. I would expect another good outing here out of Happ. Alcantara is one of those guys that has pitched very well for Miami this year. I really love this Miami pitching staff for the future. But the line's too high to play the Yankees, and you're playing the Yankees at home, and the Yankees at home are 21-7. Even without fans, the Yankees played well in that ballpark. So it's going to be a pass for me, but it's an important start for J.A. Happ, even though a lot of people have written him off.
Dave?
I have nothing on the game. I mean, I don't know who's playing for the Yankees. Happ is pitching well. Marlins need the game. So we know the Marlins will have their best guys out there.
Matt, just to ask you kind of to follow up based off what Brian said, kind of a different angle that sparked with me thinking about that is, pitchers trying to get into good form before that playoffs. They know they're going to be in the playoffs, but just trying to get that last little good start. That, we'll see Ryu yesterday in the clinching game for the Blue Jays. Great start, and you look at a guy like Happ now. How long is he going to be in here, do you think? And, he's going to want to try and get right as well. But then the Marlins, like you guys say, could play spoiler.
I mean, the Yankees still technically need it. They haven't clinched that number 2 spot yet in the East because the Jays are 2 games behind them. So I'm guessing that he'll be in there long enough to get the win. And, as Brian said, the Marlins are a young team. I'm not playing in this ones, but, I mean, to me, I would lean Yankees, but maybe a Yankees first 5 type of situation. Maybe they get a big lead early. But I'm not playing this game.
Just had another cancellation come through. And this is interesting because Charlotte was the team I was considering. On my power ratings, they came up +3 as a play against Georgia State, but I had no idea who was playing. The answer now is nobody, because that game has just gotten postponed.
The life we're living in 2020.
Plans. I was planning on basing the whole day about watching that game.
Whoa. See, Brian, why you got to insult the group of 5 like that? Come on now. That's rude. It's rude.
It is.
I actually got, one of my long-time personal service, as good as it's been for me in college football over the years, he bitches every year about how come you don't play the big games? Because I play a lot of the the group of 5 conference games. And it's like, because they're tougher games, okay? I'm looking for an edge. I just want to win a bet. I don't care who it is.
Exactly.
Well, Dave, it's the same thing with me. Like, why I have people like, I did really well at the start of the NHL playoffs, and the success slowed down. It's like, geez, well, Andrew, why is your volume slowed down so much in the conference finals? It's the conference finals. It's two really good teams. Like I don't have a crystal ball at home. I do a good job when I think there's numerous games to pick one from. But I'm not going to pick a winner in every single Stanley Cup game. We're going to start with you with this next one, the Pirates and the Indians, Brian. Is it true that you're going to stop watching baseball after they exit the playoffs?
You're young and gullible. Of course, I'm not going to stop. Playoff baseball, man. There's nothing better than playoff baseball, except for maybe playoff hockey. Those Cleveland Indians, a week ago, I thought they were done. They were just going to play the young guys, and they were just going to coast into the playoffs like they do. Now, after sweeping the White Sox 4 straight games, they are in really good position to win the division.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, isn't it crazy? The White Sox got to play the big rival in the Cubs, and that's a team that's got as much, if not more, talent in that overall lineup than the White Sox do. Although I'm starting to really love that White Sox bullpen. They got a lot of fire throwers in there. But and then Minnesota's got to play Cincinnati, a team on the fringe of the playoffs right now. So Cleveland gets to play the worst team in baseball, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they're doing it at home. Problem is the line is outrageous, but I still think, Pirates have nothing to play for, and Cleveland's just you watch the games, they're finding a ways to win. I talk about Tampa Bay, one of those teams that seems to always find a way to win. The Indians are finding ways to win. I'm not standing in front of the Indians here. I kind of like the Indians. I think they're going to win. I don't know if I'm going to how I'm going to approach it, but these Indians can win this division. That's hard for me to believe.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, the Indians, well, I can't lay this price. Now, actually, the Pirates seem to be trying for whatever reason. The dumb bastards will probably blow the number 1 draft choice. That organization is a trip.
They're the Rangers now, I believe.
Yeah. And Texas is probably smart enough to make sure they lose the last 3 games. They can get Rocker, who's going to be the number 1 pick. And that kid, boy, wait till you see him. And by the way, you mentioned the White Sox bullpen. Have you seen the kid Crochet? The lefty? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, God. He is just nasty. I don't know how any left-handed hitter is going to hit him.
The Indians podcast has just been gloating over this guy. They go, please don't make him a starter.
Oh, no, he's a 2-pitch guy. He's a bullpen guy.
All right.
He's frightening. The guy throwing – he's Chapman. He's throwing 101, and his slider's somewhere in the 90s. I mean, it's just nasty. Anyways, as far as this game goes, I wouldn't be getting in the Indians' way right now. They're a hot team, even at this price.
Guys, I hear a lot of people on their radio shows or sports shows or whatever it is say that time flies. But I got to say, I've really enjoyed the shows this week. It feels like I look at the clock and the ticker here, 30 minutes in. It feels like we really just started the show. Matt, your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, I've listened to Dave long enough that I'm jumping on Jose Ramirez's bandwagon tonight, taking the over 1.5 total bases. It's plus 105 in some places, plus 110 in other places. I mean, the guy's hot, and the Indians go as he goes. By the way, also, Nationals just released their lineup. Yadiel Hernandez is the cleanup hitter tonight, and Brock Holt is hitting 5th, so that should tell you a lot. Brock Holt is hitting 5th. Yes, Juan Soto and Trey Turner are in there, but a lot of other names you're not familiar with would be in for the lineup tonight.
So Holt's playing first then, I would assume.
Holt, it goes Stevenson, Turner, Soto, Hernandez, Holt, Gomes, Garcia, Harrison, and Robles.
Holt's playing first base?
Yes.
Boy, there's your slugging corner infielder. I'm a big Brock Holt fan, by the way, because he basically can play every position, and he's actually been an underrated player over the years. He's a really good utility guy. Red Sox got a tremendous amount of mileage out of him.
Matt, I want to go right back to you with the Red Sox and the Braves.
Well, Kyle Wright's second time through batting average went from the 400s to 370. He figured it out against the Mets last time out. I don't think he's going to do it again, and I can't back Chris Mazza here. So I'll pass on this one.
Dave, we're going to go to you with this one, but I want to ask you, somebody was just asking, I think it's very preference-based, but any tips you might have for Matthew on creating his own lines and power rankings?
Well, it depends on the sport, because they're all configured differently. But for football, for college football, I configure, I power rate every position group. If you want to get in deeper, Kenny White, who does Wager Talk Today once a week, it's amazing. He's got a magazine. I think you can download it online. He power rates the two deep at every player. Okay, every player. It's the most extensive player power ratings I've ever seen. And Kenny's it's fantastic. You wonder why he was the odds maker for the nation. Well, there's a good example why. I would definitely recommend that. And you can use that to update your numbers as the season goes along. I mean, if you're going to use power ratings, why not use somebody who's got great power ratings? Kenny's, he's just that. He's one of the guys that anybody can learn from. Let's put it that way.
And is there a take for you on the total in this Red Sox or Braves game? Anything in this one?
No, I haven't. Looks like it might be a high scoring game, but I have no thoughts on it.
Brian?
Nothing on the game other than Kyle Wright's coming off his best start by far in the season. Getting back to the question about power ratings, I myself have done 3 or 4 different videos over the years on power ratings. Just go to the site, and I believe you could probably search for power ratings on all of our videos, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's talked about them in the past. So that may help you out a little bit.
Would you agree? Would you agree that the magazine Kenny's put together for college football it's the best thing I've ever seen?
Kenny breaks down every single player in high school. It's just amazing. I got it last year. I haven't gotten it this year, but I've always joked with him. I go, hey, how about throwing some power ratings my way, so I can compare it to mine. And of course he'll laugh because he puts in thousands of hours of doing these power ratings. Kenny's a guy that knows the players back and forth, inside and out. And you want to take a look at least what he has to say. It's unfortunate he doesn't have a non-COVID number for each of these players.
Going back further, I mean, when I first got out here, a long time ago, 40 whatever years ago, Lem Banker was introduced to me by a very close friend, and we talked baseball. And Lem used to power rate every single player. He would have a rating for every single player. And, of course, lineups were more difficult to come by at that time. He had a guy back east who had good access to like every newspaper in the country and would get information that way. But, of course, for game days, you had to assume the lineup. There was no way to get it basically in advance. But based on his project, that's how he would make his numbers, based on his power ratings of each position for who was likely going to be in the lineup. And it's as good a way to do things as any. Still works.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, obviously we have some double headers we talked about at the top, the Padres and Giants. Is there anything, we're talking about game 1 and game 2 here. There's a lot of unknowns. Is there anything that either of you guys want to say about this?
No, because I have a feeling the Padres are going to just limit Lamet, let him get his work in. I don't think he's certainly not going to go anywhere close to 100 pitchers, I wouldn't think. So you'll probably see San Diego bullpen in early. But the Giants, not exactly, these are the first pressure games the Giants have had all year, because it's crunch time now. And they had an opportunity to really do some damage against the Rockies team that's, dead in the water. And they, again, I mentioned this earlier, they only split at home against the Rockies. That's a loss for the Giants. So I think they might be feeling the pressure a little bit. And, the Padres are still going out there with enthusiasm every day. Doesn't seem to matter whether it's a big game or not. So I don't know what they're going to do with their lineup. But I don't think I want the Giants right now.
Matt, there's obviously some unknowns here in this series. 2-game set. Is there any take for you on the game 1 or 2?
Just to make sure people know, game 1, the Giants are the home team. Game 2, the Padres are the home team. So it's one of those back and forth doubleheaders. But yeah, nothing for me.
Brian?
Nothing.
That does it for that. Next one up here, Astros versus the Rangers. We'll start with you, Dave.
Well, the Astros need one more win, and the Rangers.
How many more wins do they need?
Astonishingly bad. I mean, good Lord, they are. They loaded the bases with nobody out a couple of nights ago in the first inning. Didn't score and never scored a run. Like and their lineup is just atrocious. They're just unplayable at this point. I think they're actually trying to lose. I actually believe that they want to get the number one pick, and they've got a chance to do it. So they might lose out. I mean, it's tough to say on purpose, but let's just say I don't think that upper management is telling the manager of the dugout, "Hey, gotta go win this one. Come on." It's like
the urgency is lacking, Dave? The urgency is lacking, I think.
Well, they want to. I think they want the Rocker kid, and they're playing like it. I mean, they have been extraordinarily bad down the stretch.
You know, it's funny because what you just said there is actually a real thing. You know, managers or owners talking to even in junior. Like I did some media work here in the East Coast of Canada with these hockey players, and it's like, hey, you know, we're going for it, or hey, you know, we're trying to build this team. The message is sent very clear from the top of the team to the bottom from the owners. So I don't disagree with that.
It became clear a few years ago with the 76ers. Whenever they were winning a game, the coach was taking the regulars off the court.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, we can't win this game. We want the number one pick. You know, and they got it, and it worked because they got Embiid. I think it was the year that Embiid was going to be the top pick. So, you know, teams do this now.
Brian, my question to you, because I've been struggling with this for probably the past week now, is I actually wanted to bet on Houston to end the season off a little bit, but I couldn't bet these prices and stuff. And that's what's holding me back. And then I'm checking the scores, scrolling through my phone, and I'm like, geez, Astros are up 4, Astros are up this or whatever. Is there a spot for you to bet on this team to close things out here?
Well, as Dave pointed out, they can get number one draft choice, although I will say none of the players on these teams are giving less than 100%.
Right.
They don't care. They think they're good enough to win. They don't need the number one draft choice, and that's the way it's going to be in any sport. These guys, their confidence is sky high, and that's where they've gotten to where they are. So it'll be a management or upper management decision on how long we're going to keep somebody in the game. When do you pitch hit for them, that kind of thing. Hey, I'd kind of like to see this guy we just brought up from the auxiliary, stadium. So that's how it works out. But I'm the same way. As I was really looking to fade the Astros, thinking that they were going to be a disappointment. But now the way the playoffs are situated, they're going to be in the playoffs. So nothing here for me. The line's too high to play Houston, but I don't want any part of the.
One thing to keep in mind, though, is that I think they can wrap up second place tonight, and then they might sit everybody on the weekend too. So it becomes a total crapshoot.
Give me Urquidy over 4.5 strikeouts tonight. That's it. You can move on.
There you go.
I was going to say real quick though, Matt, if we were doing a highlight video of just funny parts of this show we've had over the past couple of weeks, one of my favorite ones that we'd probably have to end that highlight video off with would be you saying they're missing some trash cans or they're missing those buzzers on their chest, because I just love the way that your comedy, Matt, you just roll it off your tongue. I can't tell if it's turning into a joke or if it's seriousness. And with that, it was a little bit of both for a while, but now the Astros kind of picking it up, and obviously it's a lot of teams getting into this playoff. So like Dave said a couple days ago, is it even really that exciting to be in the playoffs? You got to do more than just get in the playoffs. Tigers and Royals. We'll start with you, Matt.
Keller over 4.5 strikeouts tonight. He's in a good spot. The Tigers are striking out a ton. Turnbull's not as good on the road, but he's only had 9 walks his last 21 in the third inning, so that's good for him. It's a solid pitching matchup, but other than the Keller strikeout prop, I'm not playing it.
Just keeping track of these here, Matt. So that was Keller over, and the one that sticks out to me the most was the early one with the Rays. You had Morton under, correct?
Yeah, I posted all 5 on Twitter. It's Morton under 5.5 Ks, Urquidy over 4.5 Ks, and Keller over 4.5 Ks.
Okay, so make sure to follow Matt on Twitter at MidMajorMatt for a lot of free props, and of course Brian at B Leonard Sports and Dave at Dave Koken. Dave, your thoughts on this contest?
None.
Brian?
Well, first off, Morton may be a little salty after hearing you disparage his strikeout.
Ooh, Morton Salty. Oh,
thank you. I'll be here all week.
That was a group of 5 level joke right there, Brian.
Why don't I understand that joke?
Morton Salt.
Oh, goodness, Andrew.
Do they have salt in Canada?
Maybe they don't have Morton salt. I don't know.
I don't
Do
know.
you have a Canadian salt product?
They have maple syrup up there.
Yeah, maple syrup.
Oh, there it
Probably
is. There
steal
it
from
is.
Vermont.
There, that's all we have is maple syrup.
Turnbull, as Matt pointed out, hasn't been very good on the road. His road starts as of late 35, 37, 36, league average 50. Keller, on the other hand, very similar. He's been lousy on the road, but he's been great at home. The last 3 at home, 78, 66, 70. He's at home. Turnbull's on the road. I see slight value here on Kansas City. The Tigers have really, I guess Johnny Detroit's not going to the playoffs.
No, that ticket did not win.
That's what I'm saying. That could have gone towards something like my new car or something like that, you know? And Teddy said, well, I could have just been his bookie, but I wouldn't be willing to pay out if they did win. So that's the consequence. Dave, Darvish is on the mound tonight for the Cubs and taking on Cease. Is there a play for you in this one? I mean, this number's gotten.
Well, I don't want Cease. The White Sox have slumped a bit, and I think Trevor Bauer's now the favorite to win the Cy in the National League. But if you he's the only one I think who's got a shot outside of Bauer, and you never know. Bauer's not the most popular guy with some of the writers.
Right.
Some of the old school guys don't like him. So, a good outing for you here could be really interesting for Cy Young, and that's probably a lot of money in terms of its, bonuses and stuff like that. So I think it's a meaningful start for Darvish.
Brian?
Yeah, not everybody has that in their contract about winning the Cy. Like I think Turnbull, I don't believe Turnbull's in there as to win the Cy. But yeah, Darvish has a good point by Dave. Is he's basically pitching for the Cy Young Award. Kershaw's had an amazing season too, but yeah, I think you're right. It'll be Bauer or Darvish. Cease pitched against the Cubs once this year. He had a pretty good start, 58 game score. But the way the White Sox lost that series to the Indians, the White Sox could have easily swept that series as opposed to being swept. So I think that may have an effect on, especially when you've got a lot of young players, and the White Sox are very strong on the young player platform. And then it's usually a bigger game for the White Sox. This is a bigger game for the Cubs in regard to Darvish. So not going to play it, but
this is the game the Cubs will have their regulars in this game.
Yeah.
Don't know about the next 2 games, but they'll have their regulars in tonight.
Matt, I want to get your thoughts on this game, but I also am really curious about any props you have in this one as well.
Regression is a BITCH for one Dylan Cease. We've talked about it for weeks. I mean, we said it was coming, and 12 walks the last 2 starts. I mean, it's just I can't back Cease. I mean, this would be a place where I'd go to Darvish's strikeout prop. He had 10 strikeouts against the White Sox about a month ago, but I just have no interest in this one. I think the White Sox are a little toast right now offensively, but I'm certainly not backing Cease either.
Didn't Cease, he walked 4 in a row last start, I believe.
It was brutal. He had 7 walks overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's not a guy you can back.
Matt, we'll go right back to you with Reds and Twins here. We got to pick things up this show. I just checked the time, but it's obviously been, even though there's late in the season, lots of information given. Any thoughts for you, total or side?
Mally's got some good peripherals. Teams are hitting 212 the first time, 231 the second time, 065 the third time, 2 for 31 against him. I mean, he's pitching well, but Barrios is in good form as well right now. 2 good pitchers pitching right now.
Biggest game of the schedule. I mean, this is the game of the night. Reds need to win. Twins want to win the division. I don't know what happens. I think it's priced about right, and I'm gonna watch this game. This should be fun.
So this is the one you have to bet, right, Dave? This is the biggest one.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. I wouldn't be going against Barrios right now. Yeah. He's rolling.
Right.
You actually do have to bet this one because this is the only game I gave out today, and so if you want to bet it, I've got it, and that's all I've got to say.
If I was on your email list, Brian, like Dave is, maybe I would bet it. but I'm not.
Well, you know, Dave's actually paying me $5,000 a year, but I give it to you for only $4.
And just like you've been saying to me for the past 20 minutes, pass. We already talked about the thoughts there with that Cardinals and Brewers game, so we'll pass over that one. You mentioned the Mariners, Brian, as a team that maybe using the word spoiler, but they're playing the A's. Is there a thought for you in this one?
Not really. Kikuchi's been too unpredictable to back on a daily basis, and Bassett's pitching well lately. His last 3 starts 67, 58, 72, but no value to me in this one.
And Bassett's numbers at home are absurd. I mean, the value is probably on Seattle because the game's meaningless to Oakland, but I think I bet Kikuchi twice this year, and I got my ass kicked both times, so no thanks. And Bassett's just, he's on a roll right now.
Matt?
Yeah, I've enjoyed Kikuchi's increased velocity this year because I've hit a couple strikeout props with him, but this is a game that's very easy to pass tonight.
And right back to you, Matt. Battle of LA, Heaney and Kershaw. Is it easy to say a first 5 under should be a look here, or is it one that you maybe would stay away?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people might look at Kershaw's strikeout prop, but I'm guessing this is a 5 inning and out type of situation, if that, for Kershaw. Now, he could be really efficient. It's 15 outs. He could strike out most of the guys. We know how bad the Angels are against lefties, but I'm just cautioning people, if you're looking at the Kershaw prop, it's not a guarantee because he won't be in very long tonight.
Yeah, and the Angels will probably play with a little enthusiasm because it's the Dodgers. So
the Dodgers may play Kershaw a little bit longer. He's got a 2.15 ERA, 6-2 record. He's still up there for the Cy Young. I don't know if he's one of the favorites, but if it's up to him, I'm sure he'd love it. But the Dodgers got bigger plans in the future, so I would agree. I think if he struggles at all, they pull him. Haney's actually pitched pretty well as of late. You look at his last 5 starts, a couple 75s, a couple 57s, and a 44. So Haney's in really good form. Maybe a little bit of interest in the Angels here, but every time I've said that this year, they've lost, and they've lost a lot. So I will pass on this one.
Guys, we'll start with you'll go Brian, then Dave, then Matt. If you have any thoughts on this second game of the Colorado Rockies and Diamondbacks game,
None.
And if you do not have any thoughts on it, start with Brian, Dave, then Matt. Like I said, let us know once again. We can grab from you at your individual website for this weekend.
I'll start. I've got a play up in baseball. I've got a free play up in baseball. Got a free play up in the NFL, and I have 4 NFL plays right now, including a 5%er. And the rest of the day is dedicated to try to figure out how many college football games will be played tomorrow.
I've got 4 college football games, one of which is a free play. And that's all that's up right now. I might post an NFL game later today. There's a couple I like this weekend. But right now the focus is college football, and I will not have any baseball today.
Yeah, no baseball for me. I post them on Twitter, though, at MidMajor Matt. I've got a 5% NFL play up, and I'm digging through the college football card, and that'll go up later on tonight, hoping that these other games don't get canceled.
I'll just have 1 baseball play up for tonight. I'm not in action in the NHL or the NBA. 2 UFC plays up for Saturday night, and 3 NFL action plays on Sunday. Guys, I don't do this too often. I don't like to be too, pushy or salesy or whatever. All of you guys in the chat box, we got over 300 people in there. I noticed yesterday and the day before that, we're not getting likes in these videos anymore. No one's commenting the interaction. If you're enjoying this video, it seems like a lot of the comment is, we have Dave reading on it. You guys check out the comment section. Hit that like button. It really does help us out. I watch a lot of YouTube in my spare time. And I always find it funny seeing YouTubers ask people that are watching it to hit the like button, but it truly, truly does help. So, 318 live viewers right now. We can get at least 100 of you guys to hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Matt, Brian, Dave, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. All the best. Thank you guys so much for watching First Pitch right here on Wager Talk TV.